Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And just a reminder, I put out a newsletter on Monday and 4 videos per week. And if you want to get all of that, you got to be a direct subscriber. And you can do that by emailing me at pampopper@msn.com. A couple of other things. The HIV/AIDS class is still free. Starts at the end of this month, and it's still free for anybody who buys $1,000 worth of anything from us. It can be products or services or memberships or whatever. And remember, we've got these really great new upcoming COVID classes for members. How to lose the COVID-25, sort of like the freshman 15. And also health lessons from COVID. Those are going to be available only to members. The Curious About COVID workshop is free, but if you want to take these other 2 courses, you need to be a member, and those will start sometime around mid-April. I'll get the dates set for those really soon. So it might be a good time to consider becoming a member, and you can go to WellnessForumHealth.com and check out membership options there, or just call us. One other thing, the Letting Go workshop that Kylia is offering, it filled up real fast, and we are going to start another group, and we'll keep starting groups. I mean, we really understand that during these times people need to be connected, and this is an issue. In fact, I'm going to talk about it a little bit today, and so we'll keep starting groups. So if you got shut out of the last class, or you're just finding out about it, letting go of the past, send us an email, check it out online. A description is online at WellnessForumHealth.com. And it's definitely a wonderful 8-class series, once a week for an hour. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And we'll keep starting groups so we can take care of everybody, okay? Who wants to do it? So I want to talk about today, a little bit of follow-up from last Tuesday. I'm going to start calling Tuesdays video, during which I talk about some of the personal and relationship types of things that are related to COVID. I'm going to start calling it How to Keep Your Sanity. And to the inspiration for what I want to say today came from a viewer who sent me an email, and this is what this person said. This morning you mentioned pruning relationships, a perfect way to describe what has happened by my own choice this year. I was looking at those lost friendships as, well, losses. Now I can see them as a healthy response to make way for growth or pruning. And I thought, what a great analogy. Every year, trees and bushes and plants have to be pruned. And what happens is they grow back bigger and fuller than they were before the pruning. If you don't prune, in fact, things start to rot and die off, and you don't get that type of growth. And I think it is like that with life and people. Now, I want to make sure that I don't give the impression that I think that friendships and relationships are disposable and you shouldn't care about them. I don't feel that way, and don't want you to feel that way either. But we do tend to think that friendships and associations are permanent. Some are, but some clearly are not, and we've all found that out during this very trying time. A mentor once told me that a person is lucky, really lucky, if they can make and hold on to 3 to 5 people throughout your entire lifetime. Based on the number of people we all encounter, it's a pretty tiny percentage. We don't have to be outrageously successful at building relationships in order to accomplish that. Nothing like what we've been seeing for the last year has ever happened. And so maybe that number drops back to just 1 or 2, but we're still pretty lucky to have that level of consistency in our lives. Some people around the world, by virtue of poverty and war and that sort of thing, they're completely displaced from everything. So we're still lucky by comparison. But nonetheless, I think that people are sideways about changing. Humans don't like change. I'm one of those people who doesn't like change. I get used to it. I force myself to go through it. But given the choice, I'd like to not change, right? So I came up with some suggestions for how to deal with this, and just take them for what they're worth. I think the first thing is people are spending more time alone. I have spent more time alone than ever before, because all the things that I used to do that were social, going out to eat and theater tickets, and well, you can't do that anymore. So one thing that you might want to do is think about adopting a pet. Some of you know about my now kind of famous pet, cat Schroeder. He's a senior guy now. I appreciate him so much, but it's someone to go home to and to talk to, and we do everything together. And if you've never had a pet, this might be the time to try being a pet parent. I have had animals in my life since I was a little girl, so it's sort of second nature to me, but maybe it's time to try that. And gosh, there's so many beautiful little souls that need permanent homes. And so that's one thing that you might want to consider doing. It really does. I mean, my house doesn't feel lonely because I've got a cat, right? Another thing is start a Thursday group. You know, I get to socialize every week on Thursday night. This is a Make Americans Free Again initiative. And I would encourage you to start a Thursday group. And if you don't know how to do it, join one of my conference calls on Thursday at noon, and I'll tell you how to do it. But while we're busy doing good work in the community and working to gather resources and file lawsuits and that sort of thing, we also are making new friends. And in other words, some of the friends that I've lost and contacts that I've lost over the last year have been replaced by people who I've become much closer to through my Thursday group. So that's a suggestion. Stay connected by phone. I mean, one of the things that I've been doing on Saturday night is taking a break from working. I have to work all the time because I'm doing a lot of things, but I'll take a break from working and call a friend or a contact of mine and catch up. And I've been allocating like an hour or two, depending on who it is. And I really enjoy that. And I'm not typically a person who would do that. That's new behavior for me. But I've enjoyed it, and it keeps me connected. And of course you can use Zoom and then see each other, which is nice. And then another thing, sometimes reframing the issue about relationships helps. Sometimes it just changes your point of view. So one thing I'm going to suggest to you is, let's say that there wasn't any COVID, and instead you're living where you've always lived and your social network's intact, and somebody offers you a job where you're going to make twice as much money as your dream job of all time. The only thing that's standing in your way is you're going to have to go to a city where you don't know a single person and make friends because you won't know anybody when you get there. Well, let's say you decide to do it. You would find a way to meet people. You would meet people through your new job, of course, but you would also meet people through volunteer work. You would meet people through joining a church or a synagogue. You would meet people through joining some type of exercise class or gym. Well, there are varying types of things that are open and available to people depending upon where you live. But get involved in something, and particularly volunteerism or Make Americans Free Again. I mean, these are things that are available, or you can make them available to you. You can start a Thursday group, but there are churches that are involved in handing out food to people and clothes and that sort of thing. So this might give you something to get involved with where you would meet people. So anyway, and there are probably some other things I'm missing here, but we don't have to be lonely is the point that I want to make. And so, you know, remember this: stress, and we're all experiencing it on some level, tends to amplify our worst traits. And what it has to do with relationships is that sometimes a bad trait is to tend to see everything in a catastrophizing or negative sort of way. And so both with this issue and with other issues, I look at stress of any sort as an opportunity to see what I need to fix. So are you negative? Are you quick-tempered? Are you spoiled? I mean, that's something I've noted about myself from time to time. The things I complain about are ridiculous when I hear about the kinds of problems that other people have. You don't know how to be alone and occupy yourself. You're resistant to change. I mean, maybe what the universe is trying to tell you right now, or God, depending on your beliefs, is that something needs to be changed, and that's where that agitated internal feeling comes from. It's usually where it's coming from in my world. If I'm feeling that agitated, unsettled, not right with myself kind of feeling, it's usually because I'm supposed to be paying attention to something, and it's God's way of telling me that I should do that. So for things to change, you got to change. In other words, if you don't like the way it is, you have to fix it. For things to get better, you have to get better. You're the center of your own universe, my friend, just like I'm the center of mine. And if you don't like the universe you're living in, then you can change it. So decide, you know, what you want to do and then create that. I mean, the external pressures are not the biggest determinant of how we're going to live our lives. They can be wake-up calls. They can cause you to go in certain directions or explore certain things, but we are far more powerful than we sometimes want to admit, because the personal responsibility associated with that being powerful is sometimes just a pain in the butt. I mean, I have to admit, sometimes I just want somebody else to solve the problem, but that's not practical. That's not good. That doesn't lead to growth. That doesn't lead to change, darn it. And usually when I get through processing something like this, I'm sort of glad it happened. So I hope that this is some good food for thought, gives you something to munch on for a little while and cogitate over, and maybe it'll help you get yourself going in a better direction. All right, that's all for now. As usual, pass this on to anybody you think would enjoy watching it and getting a different view of all this COVID debacle, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.